or poetry through the ages. With the next breath, bring yourself back into the room. Feel your body in the chair or wherever you are. Send a blessing to yourself, thanking yourself for making the choice to be here, and thanking everyone else for taking the time to be here. And invite your best self to our time together. I invite my best self to my time together because it's a great idea to imagine that my best self is ahead of me and not behind me. My best day, my best seeing, my best hearing and listening and speaking is ahead. And with the next breath, we'll open our eyes and we'll begin today's time together. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Joshua. Hi, Al. Vikram, Marcy, excellent. So, Rich did a lovely job of beginning our day today. Hi, Gil. Nice. Uh, and For those of you who weren't present at the top of the hour, the idea was that he and I speak every week and have been for years. And he said, I don't know that everybody knows what the birth of IWN is, or what the thread is that ties all the presenters together. He said, I know what it is, but that's because we talk every week. So today's conversation is a kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know I was going to be the presenter. It's a lot easier to introduce someone else than it is to be the presenter on my own project. But what the hell, right? This is how we grow. Thanks for the smiles. I appreciate those. Um, so oh, hi, Marcy. Oh, lovely.
Hello.
Um, the start is, and I don't know how easily you can access that photo, Rich, but I want to talk about the genesis of the Irresistible Wisdom Network, even the title of it, and the thread that ties the triadic framework together. Um, Rich is going to try to find a photo here that goes back a number of years. Some of you may recognize people in the photo, some of you may be in the photo. Um, the idea was, I imagine you're all familiar with a book called Conversations with God. If not, that would be a wonderful thing to be familiar with. And I read it. I marveled at the mystery. I marveled at the flow of it. I marveled at the clarity of it. And but I had never had a conversation with God. And I was invited to a gathering at Buena Fortuna Farm in Baja. And at this gathering, it was a how do we do? Do we need to do something, Rich?
The photo's up. It's in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. So if you guys click on chat, you can see the most recent entry is that photo. Did everybody see that? So this was a very unusual moment because this was a multiple day uh, women's gathering, a goddess gathering. And you can see right front and center is Marcy, who's also on this call. Kitsia may or may not be on this call, um, and a number of others. And I was invited uh, to show up on the last day of this gathering. And I remember it very clearly that I said thank you, no. That I knew a very solid and loving container had been made over their time together. There had been medicine shared, there had been lot shared. It was obviously for women, and I talked to some people there, and they said, we all talked about it, and we all want you there. And it felt very uncomfortable and borderline inappropriate for me to be there, but I surrendered and I showed up. And I showed up, and uh, to not make the story too long, uh, these one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 women had been working together for days. And one of the things that they were asked to do at the culminating event was to share their uh, manifesto, their credo, their personal philosophy. And one after another, these women dressed beautifully in white with flowers and draping apparel and in this beautiful farm that's hosted by Kitsia, who's on our call now. Thank you, Kitsia. Good to see you. Te amo. And one after another, they stood forward and stepped forward and said, "My name is, and this is what I stand for." And the next one came up and said, "My name is now," and initiated a name change. "From this day forward, let me be known as." And the next one would step forward and say, "You, as my witnesses, may judge my actions by what I declare here today. My commitment to women or animals or the life force or whatever." And one after another, after another, after another, after another. And I got to be witness to this. And it was so powerful. And I thought, what kind of world would we live in if this was part of our own growing up? If this was part of our own training, as this was part of our culture? I love the definition of culture, which is cult at scale. So what if that was part of our culture? That there came a point in time at 18 or 25 or 31 where we had to publicly present our manifesto, what we stand for, why we're here, what we live for, what we will die for. It is a potent exercise. I was so moved. Tears were coming down my face. And then after it was completed, it all went to the after celebration and meal, and everyone sat across the table. And I sat over in the corner. And these lovely, gorgeous women would look over and wave at me and say, come join, kind of whisper across the distance. And I would hold up my hands and say no. And it was so clear to me that I had nothing to contribute to that circle, that web that had been created over the days before, but I had been invited as witness. So I sat there, and then the time came for me to leave and drive home, which was well past my bedtime. It must have been 7. And I did the long dark drive, or the 15-mile dark drive from Buena Fortuna and Kitsia's Gardens to my home. And as I left, I thought those same thoughts. I have not stood in front of my community and said, "This is what I stand for," although to some degree I have. And some would argue that point. But as I was driving along, I said, kind of to the universe, to God, I said, "What is my manifesto?" And I heard a reply. And I was shocked, and I was driving, and I slowed down to 40 miles an hour. And I said, "What?" And and it said, "You told me it 10 years ago." And I said, "I told you my manifesto 10 years ago?" And the voice said, "Yeah, you said that your life was going to be dedicated to art, science, and spirit." And I remembered that moment. And that also was the 3 legs of a tripod, the most stable geometric shape uh, out there. A 4-legged chair tips, a 3-legged chair always stout. And so I started having a conversation with this knowledge about art, science, and spirit. And it elaborated and elaborated, and it became such that art was about beauty in all the ways I can find it. And my life is going to be dedicated to the validation of beauty, the recognition of beauty, the support of beauty. Um, and I, over time, I watched myself stretch into that concept. An example would be I was listening to a podcast about uh, hoarders. Hoarders is nothing I'd ever affiliated with beauty before. And the podcast interviewed hoarders. And the people would go into their homes and say, you would not believe there was no place to put your foot. There was no place to step among the boxes and whatever. And then they interviewed these people. And I fell in love with these people. They went around and they would say, this rock, this bottle cap, this ribbon, this porcelain frog. And they went through the inventory of all the things they'd been hoarding over years, and they found beauty in all of them. They couldn't throw them away because they said, it is this beautiful memory. It's this beautiful patina. It was this beautiful moment. It's this beautiful friend. And it just never occurred to me to apply the word beauty to hoarders. And I watched myself stretch. Like, what else is out there in this world that I do not consider a source of beauty that I can, because I felt my life enriched at that moment? The next one was science. Science to me is it's very easy in our culture to uh, look at the problems of our intellectual prowess. We say that we have technology without wisdom, that we are creating tools beyond our ability to utilize them with grace and wisdom and even beauty. Uh, but I wanted to make sure, and I don't even like using the word but, and I wanted to make sure that I understood that this cranium houses this brain that is really unprecedented in the history of life forms on Earth. And though it's caused us many problems, it has caused us many solutions. And to be fair witness to what this synaptic relationship and this uh, uh, I'm thinking of Josiah right now because I think he introduced me to the idea of the mycelial network. And that uh, I want to celebrate that discriminating and in some ways scientific method, that discernment, that objectivity, that ability to experiment and repeat and hypothesize and prove. It's like this is a miraculous thing, and it is beyond machine learning, and it is mysterious and will remain mysterious forever. So I want to celebrate that, and I want to celebrate the places I find it and the people that utilize it. I'm looking at Al Tabor, I'm looking at Vikram, I'm looking at everybody in this screen when I think of that, in fact. And so that was the second leg is, how do I really recognize, validate, and celebrate that and support it? And the third leg was spirit, which many, many years ago, Marcy asked me to write down the 20 most important things in my life. And I remember being so intimidated by that question. And I think she was so flippant. She like said, I need you to write on these little pieces of paper the 20 most important things in your life, and I'm going to go make tea. I'm like, go make tea. Why don't you leave for 2 weeks and give me the time to identify these 20 things? And right then I thought, well, wait a minute. If they are the 20 most important things, they should be present instantly, 24 hours a day. I shouldn't have to look for them or go through journals or Google what should be my values and priorities and most important things. And it was an incredibly valuable exercise. And some of you I've done that with, and some of you maybe have done that with Marcy, but there comes a process where we have to surrender some of these things. And then all of a sudden we're faced with these big choices. And something has to be the first thing. 20 becomes 19. And you look at, wow, wow, okay. And then it becomes 15. And then it becomes 10. And it gets harder and harder and it gets emotional. And it is a powerful, powerful exercise, especially when it becomes absolutely unacceptable to get to the last three, let alone two or one. And I remembered, and this is the first time, this is the public reveal, because I thought it was a intensely private thing that would really never be revealed, and I've decided in this moment to reveal it. My last one is spirit. Like, I will lose my arms and my legs before I will sacrifice my spirit. It'll be the last light that goes out in my life. Now, I'm not doing that to influence any of you about what your number one is. And but I didn't know what it was going to be at the start of the exercise. I didn't know what it was going to be, and it ended up being that. And of course, that became the third leg in my triad of art, beauty, science, intellectual prowess, and spirit. And spirit is the hardest one to define because it's ancestral, it is Gaia, it is sacred, it is eternal, it is resonant. And I could go on with the descriptors, with the adjectives. Uh, it is mysterious and undeniable. And as such, it's a paradox. And paradox has become the signpost of my operating system, my guidance through life. If I see opposing things happening at the same time, I know I'm in the right spot because I know that uh, the world is both particle and wave. I know that the world is dark and light. I know the world is creation and destruction. Um, I know the world is chaos and order. So these signs of paradoxes have become an absolute sense of peace and calm and tranquility and connection, where before I gave it deep consideration, it was something to get rid of or get out of paradox, get into certainty. And so leaving that ceremony at Buena Fortuna gave me a half-hour drive in the darkness to have this conversation with this spirit, with this voice that I had never had before. And I don't know if Marcy's ever heard this or Kitsia has even heard this, what happened to me
Mhm.
as I drove away from there that night. But it was absolutely a choice point and a pivot point in my life. And when Rich refers to the weekly conversations we've had over years, his testimony is that these are the three threads that weave have been weaving and weaving and weaving for years, which have now become decades. And then it may have been with Vikram in the I love, by the way, knowing every single one of you in a really devotional and lovely way. It's like, thank you so much. And uh, I thought, well, how did I meet this guy, Vikram? You know, he came across the ocean, and here we are walking on this trail. And I'm laughing because I remember when I said, Vikram, it's time for you to lead. And next thing you know, we were lost. And but that was absolutely part of that process of learning, growing, expanding. And uh, and I also met Pear, who was one of the recent speakers. And I thought, man, why am I blessed with the ability to meet all of you? Rich, Isabella, Gil, Jan, Drew, Marcy, Ashley, Lindsay, all of you. Like, I think I'm the luckiest person that's ever lived. And what a great way to wake up in the morning. And so people are constantly marveling, saying, how do you meet these people? What is it about? And it's just like, I don't know. And maybe what it's about is I decided that beauty, through art, the reverence for intellectual capacity, and the devotion and ceremony and ritual devoted to spiritual expansion. Um, if I carry those three front and center every day, I mean, this is what's going to happen. It can't not. And so I want Marcy to be a presenter on IWN. I want Vikram to be a presenter. I want Pat to be a presenter. I want Kitsy to be a presenter. Dave Zaboski, Belin Paez, Jeff Vanderkloot, Per Stoknes, Owen Gaffney. We're still in the birthing, we're still in the gestation of this IWN. And I can identify the one, two, or three aspects of that triad that all those people, all those presenters bring, right? And rather than say, oh, this is what I think, what a great way for you to go to the YouTube channel and look at it again. It's like, wow, what a mind. Wow, what a heart. Wow, what beauty. And so it's my way to celebrate them, absolutely, to give them a platform, to give them audience to you. And the other thing that I learned through Pachamama Alliance was these breakout sessions into triads, because over time, Jan gets to be with Vikram, and Marcy gets to be with Joshua, and Lindsay gets to be with Al, and Isabella gets to be with Drew, and Gil gets to be with Pat, which would be a great one. And you get to find the beauty and the intellectual agility and the spiritual energy of these people. And then when we come back together, oh my God, we do what Josiah was talking about, which was create the mycelial network. And instead of saying, oh wow, this is something new and whatever, it's like, no, I've just entered into something that's been there forever. I've grown into it, my depth, my breadth, my caring. And so that's the thread. That's how I've chosen people. That's how I send emails saying, would you please participate in this? And it's not difficult. I have a list of 36 people, which is 3 years of meetings. And I haven't even asked one of you to submit yours. I mean, this can kind of be in-house for 3 years. This is my house, but and it'd be mind-blowing. But the multiplier, when I say to you, hey, I'd love all for you to submit one. One of you has already submitted five to me, and I didn't know any of the names. But because we connect and grow at the speed of trust, these breakout sessions are where that trust, it's not about you trusting me or Rich or the speaker. It's about trusting yourself, expanding that trust into the other people that you share the time with, going away, coming back. We all visit together, and then we all meet together in Mexico or the Grand Staircase in May of this next spring. Because the value of us being together in person is going to grow faster than AI is going to grow. It's going to grow faster than the national debt of the United States. It is going to be the one thing that's value is going to increase, 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 because the domain of truth is going to reside in connection and art, connection and beauty. That's going to be the last place that we're going to be able to find truth in this post-truth world that we live in. And so why not us? Many of you have heard the phrase, if not now, when? If not this, what? If not us, who? And that phrase is typically rhetorical. It's like, wow, what a great concept. And I invite you all to ask those questions. If it's not this, if it's not IWN, please go do something else as a gift. What? How could that be a gift? Because if there's a better place for you to do it, I want in. But if this is it, do it until it isn't. If it's not us, it's because you've got something better than this going on. Please go do it. Put your life force into it. If it's not now, please decide when. Oh, it's 3 months from now. Oh, it's when I get more free time. Oh, it's when I get more money. Oh, it's when I move into my house. Oh, it's when I retire. Find out if it's now or later. I think you'll find the answers now. It's a great exercise. So, obviously, this was extemporaneous, um, unrehearsed, no notes. Um, and it was the first part of two parts. I don't know how our timing is, Rich. Maybe that's all the timing we have today.
No, Chris, we're tracking perfectly.
Imagine that.
Mhm.
Oh, so if anybody needs to take a pee or anything, phase two is OS, operating system. Uh, Other realms, other fields, other dimensions. It's quite obvious we live in a world of illusion, uh, which is not cocktail party conversation, but when I look at the people on the screen, it is. And in some ways, it's very two dimensional, and it's absolutely uh, dominated by the material and by the quantitative. And we might want to juxtapose that to the ethereal and the qualitative. My first teacher said that we trade on difference, yet everything is the same. It's a really powerful phrase, really hit me. It's very simple language. We trade on difference, though everything's the same. That difference manifests in older, younger, taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier, fitter, fatter, richer, poorer, brighter, darker, lighter, heavier. The entire commercial world is div is driven by incremental distinction. The word exclusive is woven into our language uh, that as a benefit. Exclusive speaker, exclusive this, exclusive that, when we know that the world is inclusive. So how do we live in a world that emphasizes, one side of the paradox? And for me, it has been the expansion into other realms. And in my life, I've named those realms dream state, psychedelic state, trance state, ritual state, and ceremony state. And I could ask for a show of hands, but I'm pretty sure all of you instantly have memories of those moments. It might be at a yoga retreat. It might be drumming. It might be ecstatic dance. It might be ayahuasca. It might be psilocybin. It might be staying up for 48 hours. It might be fasting. I mean, it can go on and on and on, are access points to these various states. So, what happens when we elevate these states into a place of importance rather than a place of uh, like insignificant amusement? Uh, we're living in a time right now where psychedelics are moving into the avant-garde of people, especially in the West, and it's a very controversial expansion. We're finding about the incredible stories of treatment for chronic and uh, um, ailments and uh, oh wow, I'm drawing a blank on my words right now, but um, these we are finding psychedelic solutions that are having great efficacy for people that have had incredible trauma in their lives. At the same time, you know, people are, you know, partying with it and it's proliferating through the festivity world and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but there's a, a a sacredness to it that is important to me. Trance state. Um, if you meditate, that's a trance state, and you know you can get into it. Dream state. What comes to you in the subconscious? Uh, Isabella has an organization called Liminal Learning. The liminal state, the space between, the only place where things happen. Not before, not after, now, and now, and now. So uh, I had a psychedelic experience in the desert a couple weeks ago. And it was my first experience with a substance that I'd heard about, and it was called 5-MeO DMT. Because of the way I'm wired, I don't like code. The idea of ayahuasca or psilocybin sounds like it comes out of the ground and we make it into a tea or whatever, or even marijuana and we smoke it, mota. Uh, and 5-MeO DMT just sounds too scientific to me. But I knew a lot of friends who had done it. I uh, I know people that uh, use it uh, in a setting, a set and setting that is therapeutic. And so I tried it. And I prepared myself for a wild ride. And it was it was quite spontaneous too. I didn't know it like 90 minutes before I was going to do it. And so there wasn't a day of preparation or anything. And I did it, and there had been a question that had been in my mind for a while because I work with clients, as some of you know, and a lot of them know, a lot of them just say, how do you prepare for an absolutely unpredictable future? You know, anyone who suggests that this is what you need to do because 5 years from now it's going to look like this is ridiculous. We're looking at system collapse. We're looking at culture collapse. We're looking both qualitatively and quantitatively at these things that we've created falling under their own weight. And how are we going to find our way in the face of that? And I thought, damn, I don't have the answer to that. But it's been it's been a I was going to say Mobius question for me for a long time, but it's been toroidal, right? It bends in upon itself over and over and over again. And I drive my car, I ride my motorcycle, I ponder, and it's like, how do you prepare for an absolutely unpredictable and likely unprecedented future? The good news is I think that we're all born equal to the times into which we are born. You know, we're not born separate from the energies of the universe. So of course we're of this energy, so we can participate. Well, the person that I shared the experience with said, okay, we're going to start out easy, and it's called a handshake. And the handshake is a small dose, and it's taken by smoking through a pen. And I experienced it. I had eyeglasses on, and after 15 or 20 minutes, I don't know how much time transpired, it turned into a second dose that was higher, and then it turned into a third dose that may have been the same or higher still. And the thing that was amazing to me was that that question became the center of my contemplative space. It was not a visual experience. I did not have hallucinations. It was a cerebral thing, and it was three words, yet another triad to the preparation for an unpredictable and unknowable and unprecedented future. And I've been turning these three words over for a week now. The first one was novelty. The second one is risk. And the third one was kind of a hyphen, community and fluency. And I was having such a good time. Like, wow, this question I've been pondering, here it is. Like, this is what you do. Like, none of it was material. None of it was, learn how to make a fire or, get a year's worth of canned foods or learn how to shoot a pistol or, any of that stuff. And I was so grateful for the qualitative aspect of those three words. And so I dove into them both in my psychedelic state and in my later, what we refer to as conscious state. And it was novelty. And very quickly, what came up was, do not mistake variety for novelty. Novelty is unprecedented. Uh, Novelty is entering into a place or a thing or a time or an experience that was not before. And what if novelty, which we kind of like, oh, yes, I'll eat grasshoppers once. I'll eat a pulsing grub from the interior of an Amazonian tree once. Um, but uh, what if I make novelty like 20% of my conscious life? Like I invite it, I recognize it, I validate it when I experience it, I pause to note it. I am not afraid of it. I do not try to weave quick certainty or calibration into it. I just go, oh, that's the word. I mean, that's my job, is to move into novelty with grace and willingness instead of reluctance or dismissal. And it's like, oh, this was just getting juicy. Like I was chewing on these ideas. The second one was risk. We live in such a risk averse culture that we don't even know how far it's gone. We all shake our heads yes to it. But here's a crazy illustration of that. Someone sent me something about life in 2024 and life in 1964 to 60 years. I'm going to paraphrase these statistics, but they are reasonably representative. There must be a name for when you do that, Al. I don't know what that is. Um, I think Stephen Colbert talks about it. It's got truthiness to it. Um, and the thing they sent me was a graph of automobile colors in the United States in 1964, and how in 1964 about 70% of autos were red and yellow and green and blue and purple and orange and whatever, and 30% were black, white, and gray. In 2024, like 81% are black, white, and gray, and 19% are colors. We have moved to a colorless palette of cars. But you've all been in those meetings, or some of you have been. Red's a risky color. Yellow's a risky color. Can't do mustard, can't do orange. Blue's kind of safe. And now look out your window. Go to the grocery store parking lot. It is white, black, and gray. We didn't notice it happening um, because we become risk averse. The other one was in music. Those of you who are old enough to remember the Beatles, um, same type of statistic. In 1964, 70% of songs had a time signature change, 4/4 to 3/4. Those of you who know music better than me would know what some of those signature changers sound and look like. When you go back to those songs, it sounds like two or three songs within a song. In 1980, 84% of songs a single time signature. I sent that to my friend Kristen Leanne, who's a musician, professional musician, and she looked at it. She said, "That's it. I'm starting to change my time signatures. We've lost variety, risk, homogenization. So when I weave risk as a core value rather than something to be avoided, I occupy my learning edge. I occupy exposure. I occupy vital aliveness that gives me access to other realms, other adjacencies that I would normally brush by or not even notice." And the third one was community influency. And I had a great time with that one too, because it's like irresistible wisdom network, IWN, there it is, community. We are communing, we are coming together. Do I wish we were all in the same room feeling each other's heartbeats? Absolutely. To look at the people on the screen right now, imagining us all being in the same place at the same time right now, maybe at Buena Fortuna, maybe at Maki Pacuna, all these exotic names on the planet Earth, maybe in the Grand Staircase, uh, Bear's Ears. Um, and that is no small aspect of this irresistible wisdom network. That to some degree, it's a pledge that, yeah, I'm going to participate in this thing for a year, and then I'm going to go to that thing. I'm going to go meet Gil. I'm going to go meet Jan. I'm going to go meet Al. I'm going to be in the same place because you all know what that experience is like. And the same thing is happening that happened to music and cars with us. We are getting digitized. We are getting separated. We are being sold that a Zoom meeting is just as good as a plane flight, and it's not. And Vikram, would we have the relationship we did if we didn't spend those 2 weeks together? We would? No. Um, and so the first part, it was weird that it was two words. It was community, to commune, but the second one was fluency. And fluency is that fluidity of movement, that graceful acceptance of what we know and what we don't know, what we're curious about, the willing to surrender, the willing to be vulnerable. These are the hallmarks of fluency. And so when Pear comes and talks about this future that we can inhabit of the two-eyed seeing, it's developing fluency. When Owen comes and talks about that the future is built by the optimists, we expand into the possibility that, oh, we don't have to be crushed by the state of the union, the state of the day. When Beilin comes and talks about all the positive things that are happening throughout Amazonia and tropical forests throughout the world, we know that there's places that we can participate and take an active care in the tomorrow that'll support our children and grandchildren. And lastly, and possibly equally importantly, to participate in something that we know we will not live to see. I think we have grown into a place where it has to get done this month, this quarter, this year. We've become so goal oriented that the only possible outcome of that is um, suffering. But when I participate and commit to something that I will not live to see, it is not frustrating, it's emancipating. There was a protest in North Dakota against a pipeline called Standing Rock that some of you are familiar with. I saw the coverage in newspapers and was reading about it, and I thought it was terrible what was happening up there. But then the next day I looked at it and there was a retraction in the newspaper saying that the photo we published was actually from a different place at a different time. And that was what, 15 years ago or something. And I thought, fuck it, I need to go up there. So I got in my truck and I drove 2 days up to North Dakota. And I thought I was going to be part of a parade going into a concert because the media said, yeah, people are coming from across the nation to this thing. I was the only car there. I pulled up to a chain across a dirt road with a coffee table and a folding chair and an Indian guy with braids. And I rolled down my window and he looked at me and he said, "What brings you here? What's your business here?" And that was my cue to master the obvious. And I said, "I'm here to support my brothers, my sisters, and my mother." And he dropped the chain and he said, "No guns, no alcohol, no drugs, be of service." And I drove in and I thought, shit, that's the way I want to enter anywhere. No guns, no drugs, no alcohol, be of service. How's that for a sign on your door? So I'm in there and I'm talking to these people who are fighting, and it's this time of year. It's late October, early November, and the winds are starting to blow and the days are shortening and it's getting cold. And I see them shoring up blue tarps to get ready for the winter to do this resistance. And I said to this, and I got treated so well while I was there, and I look like the problem, right? I look like the white patriarchy. And I was so welcomed at mealtime and temescals and various things. It was amazing. And I was talking to this guy and I said, "Wow, man, you're getting ready for a long, cold, dark winter." And he said, "No problem. We've been doing this 500 years." And I've never forgotten it. He was participating in something that he knew he might not live to see, which is the rise and survival of his people, perhaps the thriving someday. And they're doing it the best way they know how against insurmountable odds. So that's why I call participating in something that you may not live to see is emancipating, because you're no longer in the temporal world. You don't have to look at the clock or the calendar or anything. You know what team you're on. I know what team I'm on in Ecuador with Maki Pacuna Pachamama Alliance. I know I'm on their team. Um, and it is so freeing. So the reason I talk about that as an operating system is because it came from another realm. It came from another field. I don't know where those three words came from: novelty, risk, and community slash fluency. But those are things I can sit across from people and say, this is how you prepare for an unknowable future. Elevate these things in your daily life. Recognize, validate, inculcate, support, recognize, slow down, know they're even happening. And then it doesn't matter if it's a technology thing, if it's an environmental thing, if it's a material thing, if it's a psychological thing. I will have moved closer to being in a position of a graceful reception to the future that we all dream is possible. And I think that phrase will end my talk today. How's my timing, Ricardo?
Oh, beautiful in all ways. Not just timing. Thank you, Chris. It's oh, exactly.
Wow, that I have not done a 40-minute monologue. I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe you're all it's like you do them all the time. But I can't remember it.
Oh, so helpful. So well, as is tradition that we've started, this is the breakouts. Again, another example of triads. By the way, I'm keeping a list of triads in my life. I've got another few to add today with novelty, risk, and fluency. So I think it's so as we go off and discuss, I'll send everybody into the rooms. We'll stay out for 15 minutes, give everyone some time to talk, to share their thoughts, ask their questions, and then we'll come back and harvest those learnings. So I've got all the rooms set up. Are we all ready to go in? See who our new
Um,
friends are?
I have a little technical question. A number of people have a fixed photo and so forth, which you can't tell if they're there or not. And I see note takers and stuff. The, is there any discrimination on what gets put into a room or not? Like, I don't want two people who actually aren't on the call to be thrown into and then the one person just sits there.
Well, it's funny. I learn a little bit every time we do a call. So my mistake this time is I didn't turn on the video till a partial way in, I mean, recording until you were partially through because one of those note takers was recording as well. So I assumed that was our recording, but it wasn't. The other is I manually set up the rooms. So I
Oh,
could,
so when it comes time for me to put this on YouTube, we might not have it?
you'll have everything but the first few minutes of your meditation.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, we missed a, and so I learned. So the other lesson was the breakout rooms are manual, which is kind of a funny process. The first time I manually do it. So the note takers are not in, and I basically just let it fall how it may, but I had to do a
Oh,
little bit of manual manipulation. So,
well, thank you
um,
for managing the back end. It's absolutely a treasure.
well, it's, I appreciate that, and it is fun, and it was kind of fun thinking who gets to sit with who. So that was a first
Hey,
this time.
I can't help myself, but I would add, Chris, there's a setting so you can hide non-video participants, so you don't have that little thumbnail with all the AI people's bots showing up.
Awesome,
Thank you,
I
Weatherby.
love that.
See, I was paying attention.
Okay, everybody, you ready? Diving in?
Yeah.
Let's go. Al, are you there?
Well, there you are.
I know, Marcy, we didn't get in our room together this time.
No. But we spoke about you,
Uh-oh.
so you were there.
Hello, Kitsia.
Hola, so good to be here today. And of course, it would be better if we were in the same place, but we're in the same heart. So that helps.
You've all, oh, Marcy, thank you for your comments. And Kitsia, you've been in my thoughts recently. Oh,
Aquí estoy. Yeah, I
Mhm.
saw a road runner a couple days ago, and I said, "Oh yes, presta atención, pay attention."
yeah, pay attention is
It
right.
was on my birthday. On Saturday, I had my birthday. So and I saw the road runner. Pay attention, Rich. Okay, thank you. That was your gift. I keep on
Oh.
giving. The gift I keep on giving.
Mhm.
Oh, what a beautiful share. Okay, so we all back? Where are we? Let's see.
Feliz cumpleaños, amiga.
See, well, we're gonna have to get together and have some healthy
Yeah.
cake when you're in Baja.
You know,
Or
I
are you
brought
back?
you a camera trap and I just couldn't get down there in the 10 days I was here, but I got a lot done. I'm excited to spend time with you this winter. So,
Beautiful. Looking
but I
forward.
have one sitting there waiting for you, and it's great. It's solar, and
Awesome.
we'll get it set up and show you how you can use it. Yeah.
Awesome. And I have more trees for your food forest. So we'll have some
Okay.
more
Yeah.
time to weave community.
Let's review and harvest learnings from our time together. Ricardo, why don't you can you
I'm going to reach out. This is where I spin the wheel and look at Ashley and say, Ashley, you want to kick us off on learnings?
Yeah, happily. Kitsia and Josiah and I were talking about one of Chris's three-legged stools of seeing this resilient stool of novelty, risk, and fluency. And we had a good time talking about novelty and how we've, I think Josiah and Kitsia, they can share more, but the idea of that we're comfortable with it. There is a honed comfort in seeing novel experiences, even through everyday experiences, but also just that risk taking, the trust, which I guess there's a relationship between the novelty and risk. And we looked backwards one month at Owen's talk and this advice to create more trust in the world. And by creating more trust in the world, that allows us to take more risk. So I think these are a couple of the warp and weft of some of our conversations.
Beautiful. Someone else want to take it up for their group?
before you get called on?
Okay, now I got to remember who's in which group. Gil, would it be appropriate to hear your voice?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was with Lindsay and Marcy, and we were witnessing Chris's in spiritual improvisation today in showing up and sort of delivering another one of his ad hoc manifestos, and that there's a something generative and novel about coming into something with trust that that there will be information received, that there will be words for you when you arrive. And for me, it's another example of a skill and this ability that I would like to cultivate in my own life, of being sort of an antenna, and having the practice and living in a way that is practicing for a moment where you're called on.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah.
Wow. Um, okay, I'm gonna keep this rolling. And Vikram, would you mind sharing some harvested learnings from your breakout session with Weatherby and Hosea, I think. What's the other?
With Joshua and
Oh, Joshua.
Weatherby. Yeah. We were reflecting on the triad and exploring a little bit like the triad for each of us. But I think one of the things for me which really stood out was Joshua was really reflecting on the occupying edges that Chris was saying as part of the risk part, and imagine what that really would look like and really would mean if we were living our lives from occupying the edges and taking that risk. And I think one thing we dove into a little bit was each of us, the three of us, Joshua, Weatherby, myself, are at different stages of breakdown and breakthrough, let's put it that way, and going through sort of a shift in our triad and a shift in maybe where we are. And Weatherby has been through a big shift and questioning what really is his service, and has come out the other side from that and landed somewhere. Joshua is sharing he's also going through something now, asking this question of what's needed in my work right now, and myself very much in the same place where I've moved on from a job that I was in, a career I was in for 14 years, and I really feel myself I'm in this space of, am I already occupying my edge, or is there more? Is the edge further out? And the other thing I'd share is I think a really clear triad came out from Weatherby's sharing for him, which, if you're okay with me sharing that, Weatherby,
Yeah, sure.
was very clearly around, thanks, technology, nature, and indigenous culture and indigenous wisdom. And I mean, no surprise that we're here in this group, right? When you hear a triad like that, so that was like super resonant as well. And yeah, I think it's very much kind of the questions are sitting with us, and that question of what does my triad look like? What does living out at the edges look like? And what is it that is needed in my work right now to be of service? So these are, I think, some of the questions I'm coming out with, really.
Oh, beautiful. That indigenous wisdom is such a powerful conversation, right? It's just so. Okay, the last group was Isabella, Drew, and Alan. One of you guys want to speak up? Okay. Drew, you just unmuted. You're it, man.
I was just gonna I was still gonna blame Isabella. That's what I was gonna do.
I knew that was going to happen. I was going to see if any one of you will put. I'm happy to talk if you want.
Go for it. I think you had the gist of what we were doing.
Where's my screen? There we go. Yes.
So first, I think we were just actually figuring out who knew Chris and at what point in their life and his life, and trying to get that trajectory. And we have sort of I am the newbie of the group for sure. And it was Drew and Alan. And so we were, one of the things that I find really beautiful in this kind of gathering is that, Chris, you sort of are sharing with you some of your like recent and past ways of framing, like both quite long-term ways of thinking about your triad, and then something very new that's come and emerged for you that keeps coming. And there's something about that openness to receiving new and updated information from spirit or from each other, etc. And so when Drew started us off, he just spoke about it having there were difficult times right now for him, and that he wasn't sure if he had followed the whole conversation. Sorry, I'm outing you, but there's a reason why I'm outing you, Drew, which is that still he came, and for me it was so clear, his presence, his eyes, the way that he shared, just that he's here for and with Chris and everyone else, that mattered even more than the words. Although the words are incredible and there's lots to hear, it was just us sharing, where are we and how do we know? And it was just this relational web that we were just beginning. In 15 minutes, we had just begun to say, where are you actually present in, and what are you, here for, and how long have you known Chris? And there was just this it was almost like we knew a language together because we knew Chris, and there was a way of relating to one another that was comfortable and easy. And Alan also was very very clearly telling us where he was in San Francisco, but also just weaving his time with where he knew him. And anyway, there was just something very organically beautiful and emergently fast with the connection that I felt was really beautiful. I don't know if Drew or Alan, you wanted to add anything to that.
Well,
Nope, you got it.
And as a geographer, my favorite saying is, we're all here because we're not all there.
Right.
And, that's why I like to start with, where are you? And you're like, oh, I'm in the next room from Chris. And I was like, oh, you're at Paige's house. I was like, and then Alan's
I was
like,
trying to
"Where's
describe
Artura?"
where I was, which was so magical. And he's like, oh, I know Paige for a long time. I was like, oh.
So anyway, I do like knowing where people are, especially on these kind of calls. And I agree with Chris that, that in-person meeting is so much more powerful when it is in person at the same place. And I was with Paige in San Francisco when a friend of mine lost his son. And I just looked at Paige and said, I got to go. And all I did was fly across the country and go knock on the door. And that's the only thing I could do. And repeating that pattern of showing up is one of the 20 things on my list, Chris, when I put those things up. Show up. So there. As
Drew, I just have one question. Which direction are you facing right now?
due east.
Thank you. So with that, Chris, we have time. Thank you, everybody. What a beautiful morning. Chris, you have a little bit of time to bring this all to a close.
Oh, I don't know if I have anything buttoned up. I think Al was about to say something, and I don't know. One of my top 20 is I like to hear every single person's voice, not just a single representative from the triad. And yeah, I'm sure you've all been part of groups where you go around the circle and say, even if you only say a word, just say one thing. So I hear my voice. So I love hearing yours. That's why I'm here. Al?
Well, I've got nothing to add to what Isabel and Drew said, so I'll just say that, and there's my voice. Thank you.
It's always good to see you.
Okay, well,
good to see you. I loved hearing you preach. I've heard you sell, but I've never heard you preach. It's a gift.
Oh, thanks, Al. That was my training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so super thankful for all of you taking the time to be here this morning. I was nervous about being the host and presenter. It's like, wow, is that appropriate? Is Joe Rogan doing a show about himself? No. And but Rich was calmly persuasive that it was important to set a template, and Josiah, seeing you here for the first time, and you may know some of the people that have spoken before, but I know some of the ones who are coming up. We already have the next 3 months arranged, so I'll send an email out with who those are. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 3 women in a row. So the feminine will be moving in through December, January, and February with some extraordinary humans. And I'd love, to hear from you if there's anything that.
Gypsy, I think, has something.
Yes,
What's that?
I would like to say something. We work on novelty, risk, and community, and I have a poem that is the seed, a short poem. May I?
Yes.
Okay, it's called Trust. Trusting the orchestration of universal light to guide my path. I shed the layers of illusion while I breathe. Walking the unknown with the eyes closed, following my heart. Sometimes the void, sometimes the world. The tapestry of life comes in all colors. Open the door, great silence, let me in. Deepen my breaths, hold my hand. Stop the wonders of my mind and bring me back the peace of my heart until divine presence and I become one.
It is so.
Gracias, Kitsia.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a fitting close for me.
Oh. Well, thank you, everybody. Excuse me. What a beautiful morning. As Chris said, we're going to get out the next 3 speakers will be going out with signups. So we can start thinking ahead and knowing what's coming. And just such a deep appreciation to see you all and hearing your words and your participation. Thank you, Chris. Beautiful. I know that was a big move for you, and we all appreciate it. So best to you all. Send my love.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bless us all.
Bless us all.
Mm.
Amen.
It is so.
Thank you.
Hmm.